Welcome to episode number 3 of the New Noise Podcast. I am your host, Ben Ellis.
And I'm your co-host, Connor Cry.
Today, we're going to talk about a few things, but we're kicking it off with Linkin Park today. Linkin Park just released a new single called Heavy from their upcoming album to be released in May, and it has fans and listeners alike in an uproar. Linkin Park has a huge following, a lot of fans, a lot of opinions, and the general consensus here is that this song is not good. What are your thoughts on it, Connor?
Well, I'm not a huge Linkin Park fan, but I do like some of their earlier work. And I like A Thousand Suns, which is not a traditional Linkin Park album.
No, that's where people started to dislike Linkin Park, so to say.
And there was less guitar. But this new song, what people had a problem with A Thousand Suns, it was like less guitar and all that. But I found the album still like trippy and not commercially successful in that way.
It had a lot of cool sounds.
Yeah, and it wasn't trying to do the average.
Yeah, the new metal stuff they did on their first 2 albums.
Yes, but with this new song, it's like totally playing it safe to the point where they're like, they're going corporate.
Yeah,
it's weird.
They've even brought in outside writers, which is always a bad idea.
It can work, but it looks like they're approaching it like a pop group now.
Yes,
like literally the song is full tilt pop, like Chainsmokers.
Oh yeah,
it does not sound like Linkin Park at all.
Check it out on YouTube. Heavy by Linkin Park.
And that's the thing. They named it Heavy.
Yeah.
And I remember when hearing the title and being like, oh, I assume they're going to their past sound.
Yeah, back to their roots.
Yeah. And it's like, boom. They kick right into it, and it's fucking garbage.
It is. And we're not one to rip on people. We don't like to get too intense. But this song is just so radio-friendly and commercial and unlike anything I've heard from like a band like Linkin Park who had such a heavy sound in the past. And I'm not one of those guys who's, go back to your past sound. That's what worked. No. I like musicians and bands to evolve and try new things. But this just seems like playing it safe. Like they're not even trying. They're hiring outside writers. It's really, really weak. So I think Linkin Park, they're going to have some backlash for this new record for sure.
Yeah. And I did see them live. Have you seen them live?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen them. I saw them with 30 Seconds to Mars and AFI, and they put on an unbelievable show. I'll give them that. Like I'm not a huge fan of them. I know their hits. They're decent. But when I saw them live, I was like, the one thing this band has is an incredible performance live.
Like lots of stage presence.
Chester, the singer, is unbelievable. Everyone was on key, like on point. They had it's funny because they'll kick into like a metal song, and then the DJ will like kick into like a club beat while you're grabbing drinks and shit. Like it was really cool because it would go from ballads to metal to, and it was a nice.
They have an eclectic discography.
Yeah,
they have a very eclectic discography, and I find that that's a good thing, though, because you don't want to hear the same thing over and over like AC/DC. And, but at the same time, people don't seem to not like that, and they want Linkin Park to return to their most successful sound, and, that's unfortunate, but sometimes it's the way it goes.
Yeah, no fan is the same. So, like, you change your sound up, fans are going to hate it because it doesn't sound like what you used to sound like. You don't change your sound up, you played it safe, and you're just doing what's comfortable, and some fans don't like that either. So I understand artists taking risks, and this is a risk that we are not a fan of at all.
No.
But even if you only know Linkin Park and what they sounded like over the years, check out the song anyways, because it's just an interesting example of like where an artist can go.
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's a prime example.
Yeah.
It's just, if you didn't know it was Linkin Park, you would not guess in a million years that it was them.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back in time now. We were talking about Linkin Park, who's a recent, heavier band, and now we're going to go back to the band who started it all, Black Sabbath, one of my favorite bands of all time. However, Connor hasn't really gotten into them until now, and I'm really excited because I love Black Sabbath, and to have another person to listen to it with and talk about is always awesome. So, Connor, you received a record from your buddy. Tell us about it.
My good dear friend, brother Robert.
Robert Underwood.
He got me Black Sabbath's Paranoid on vinyl. And we hadn't seen each other in a while or not enough, so we never got each other our Christmas gifts right away. So that was actually a Christmas gift. And I put it on because I told him I wanted to check out Black Sabbath. I've had you show me them. I've had my buddy Ian show me them. I've heard them. Obviously, I know their hits
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I know that Ozzy's vocal range was and is unbelievable. Like,
So underrated for
Yeah.
all those. And Black Sabbath gets forgotten with all those bands that came out in the early 70s because there were so many good bands who were so popular, right? Led Zeppelin you had to compete with. The
Yeah.
Stones.
yeah,
You know, those are the two biggest rock bands of all time, arguably.
yeah,
So, you know, Black Sabbath kind of had to take a backseat because their material was a bit darker,
yeah.
less mainstream, but it doesn't take from the fact that they were incredibly talented musicians.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of the influence may have had, like, there was a lot of satanic
Yes,
vibe with
on their
Black
first,
Sabbath.
yeah, their first album especially.
Yeah, so it really scared parents and it kept parents
Yes.
from letting their kids listen to this kind
And
of
listeners alike, because
Yeah.
back then, you know, no one did that stuff where it was dark and, you know, scary.
shit. Yeah,
So people
And
kind of
re-
shied away from it.
and religion, obviously, with religious families, it's like,
Yes.
no way you're listening to Black... The title alone, Black Sabbath, it's
Yeah.
like dark magic, right?
Yeah.
So it's already rejected. But anyway, I listened to this record, and yes, it, like you were saying, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
How influential this band is. And of course, I knew that all along. Everyone's told me that. But just being able to hear it from start to finish on Paranoid was like, I heard Tool. I heard a little bit of Iron Maiden. I heard just so many metal bands.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And what I love about Black Sabbath is they have jazz in their music too. It swings, man.
Well, they started as a jazz band.
Yes, they did. They were like
Right?
kind of a cover band, and then they were called Earth actually before
Oh,
they
really?
turned into Black Sabbath. I guess another band was called Earth, so they had to switch it up. And then yeah, they were inspired by Black Sabbath. The Black Sabbath name came from the bass player had a dream, and a cloaked figure was standing at the edge of his bed when he
Okay.
woke up, and he said something that's Black Sabbath. And then that inspired everything, and they came up with a riff for Black Sabbath, and it just kind of
What?
spiraled from there, man.
That's
So it was
sick.
very into dark magic, all that stuff. But then as they went on in time, Sabbath, they weren't all satanic, and people think they were, but
They aren't. Like,
no.
Ozzy's Christian or something, or
Yeah.
Catholic or something. I
Yeah,
actually don't know what it is.
yeah, but
So
they
don't
aren't.
quote me on that, but they do have,
Yeah, they aren't Satanists, so to speak, and their first 6 albums are amazing, and a lot of bands can't say that. They kind of fall under the radar, like I said, because during the time they released albums, you know, Led Zeppelin was releasing an album the same time, so you got to compete with that.
Yeah.
And it was very, you know, back then there was so many good bands, and my favorite Black Sabbath record is Master of Reality, the one after Paranoid. They down-tuned and they made this huge, heavy sound that just was the birth of metal to me. That record just sounds so heavy still.
Yeah.
And Connor, he listened to Paranoid, and you're going to listen to some more records, right?
I'm going to get, like, I know for sure the first 4 Black Sabbath records I'm definitely going to purchase
Yes.
and listen to. I kind of, there's some bands where instead of experiencing, like I have Apple Music,
Yeah.
and I could go right on there right now and just go listen to all Black Sabbath if I want. But sometimes when you find a band, like especially an older band, there's something nice about just waiting until you get the vinyl to listen to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of what I chose to do because I always knew I wanted to check out more of Black Sabbath instead of their hits. And I waited for me to actually get a Black Sabbath vinyl to do that. And
Yeah,
it was a nice experience. So.
That's awesome, man. And if you want to get into Black Sabbath, check out their first 6 albums. Well, start with the first, go to the 6th. You'll be really impressed. There is some musical evolution there too. Synthesizers start to creep their way in the early 70s, so you know,
yeah.
Black Sabbath experiments with some of those on some songs, and it's really cool. They weren't just, you know, a satanic rock band. They delved into softer stuff. They have a lot of really cool acoustic stuff as well. I'll have to show you that.
Yeah, for sure. Even their, I've been shown their their album 13.
Yeah, their latest one.
Yeah,
Drummer from Rage Against the Machine was the drummer on that album. But
Was
you know
he?
That. Yeah.
right on.
Yeah, Brad Wilk.
Fucking right. No, but yeah, apparently they all they bought a place together or something, and they tried
Yeah,
to do it
in
the
LA.
old way
Yeah.
in LA, where they all lived in the same house, and Ozzy got back into drugs and stuff,
Yeah.
got all fucked up again, and he's an
Yeah.
old man. It's so
Yeah.
good. But anyways, that album for old bands coming back. I mean, there is no right or wrong. We always talk about that. Like if a band, an old band puts out a record again, it's like, well, why not?
You know,
That's what they
yeah.
did for a living. That's their passion, right? Who cares if it's not the best thing they ever did?
Yeah, and they're just, you know, they're making new music. They're happy. They're going to put it out. Let them
Yeah.
do it.
But when I heard 13, I was like, no, this is actually really good music. Like,
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that.
Well, they just ended like a 2-year tour, the End tour. It was
Yeah.
So they're done now apparently, but
And
bands say they're done all the time, and then they go out on another tour. So
Yeah.
All right, sticking with metal, Metallica and Lady Gaga performed at the Grammy Awards. There were some technical difficulties. James Hetfield got really upset. Connor, did you see this incident? What did you think of it?
Well, it seemed like a nightmare for to know that Lady Gaga and Metallica are going to play a show together is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Both bands, like, Metallica, fantastic, and Lady Gaga is unreal. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes.
So, just, that was exciting. And then microphone goes off. James Hetfield's not singing any of his parts. She's trying to save him. It's a fucking mess. You got all those girls dancing on stage in the way.
Yeah.
So, it could have been done... Even if James Hetfield's mic didn't fuck up, which was terrible, I think it could have been done a little better.
Yes.
But the fact that it messed up was terrible. And when they announced the performance, they only said Lady Gaga's name.
Yeah, they didn't
And I
include
think-
Metallica.
Yeah, they didn't. And I think I think they've been shit on before for stuff like this. Like,
Yes.
So
They in the 80s, they were up for Best Metal Grammy. They got beat by Jethro Tull. You know who Jethro
Yeah.
Tull is? They're like a progressive rock band that has like a flute and
Yeah.
like bagpipes and shit. And they lost to And Justice for All. That was supposed to be the record of the year. And they
Okay.
lost to Jethro Tull, which was like a huge uproar in the metal community, obviously.
yeah.
But back to the Grammy performance. I think that it's inexcusable to have a microphone fail on the biggest night in music.
And not be able to fix it.
Yeah, it's like you wait all year to hear. Well, you don't obviously wait all year, but you wait.
Ben's
to hear,
been waiting all year.
I've been
for
waiting
this
all
moment.
year to hear Lady Gaga on Metallica. It's my
Yeah.
dream band.
Yeah.
No, you wait all year, to hear these bands and see all this stuff at the Grammys. It's a or not a collaboration, but it's an encapsulation of all the great musical things that happened in the year. So you'd think they could hook up a microphone, right? It just seems so Bush League to me.
Yeah, and that sucked. We've talked shit about the Grammys, and there's been a lot of times, like when Queens of the Stone Age, Nine Inch Nails played.
Yeah, they cut him off early.
They cut him off early, and Trent Reznor was fucking livid.
Fuming, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that are like, fuck the Grammys, but a lot of people know. Like, it's actually, even though it's super popular, there's a huge group of people that don't give a shit
Yeah.
about the Grammys. It's not the Oscars. It's not, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Slipknot has won Grammys before.
Yeah,
Corey Taylor uses it as a bathroom doorstop. That's what he thinks about the Grammys.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so besides that, the Grammys, Adele swept the floor when we thought that was kind of,
Yeah.
that shouldn't have happened.
We were wrong about a lot of to be honest.
We were wrong, but we got some right. We're happy Blink-182 didn't win.
Yep, we're happy about that. I will say Beyonce, I heard a little bit of Beyonce's record, finally, and it was a lot different than I expected. It had more, like, it had heart to it, and I enjoyed that, and I was kind of like, okay, this wasn't exact, because I only heard a little bit before,
Yes.
and then I listened to a little bit more, and I was like, okay, I gave it another shot, and I was a little more open to it, so, and Adele said that she was like, she
Yeah.
gave tribute to,
She thought that Beyonce should have won the record of the year, and then she
seems like everyone
tore a
does
Grammy
that.
in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone does that. Kanye West interrupts Taylor Swift. Beyonce should have got Album of the Year. No matter what, everyone's fucking pissed off because Beyonce didn't get Record of the Year.
Yeah. I don't think the Grammys are going to be good anytime soon. So, next topic. So, this past weekend, Connor got to see one of the most legendary comedians of all time, Mr. Jerry Seinfeld in Toronto. How was that, man?
It was amazing. I went with my buddy Robbie, and it was at my favorite place to see any live show.
Your favorite venue?
Favorite venue. Thank you, Ben. Sony Center.
Yes, for performing arts.
Yes, I love that fucking place. It's amazing.
It's an underrated place for sure when it comes to
people don't
concerts in Toronto.
Yeah, people don't really know about it, and
No,
it's
but
beautiful.
Yeah.
I've seen Nick Cave there, Pussifer there, now Jerry Seinfeld. Anyway, Jerry Seinfeld, really fucking funny. It was a must see for me.
Yes.
I may not see him again for a long time because apparently Jerry he only replaces like 10% of his comedy every year.
Yeah.
He's like, he holds on to his really good jokes over the years, and he's open to that. He's not acting like I'm the most innovating comedian in the world. Jerry, when you're going to see Jerry Seinfeld, you're gonna get Jerry Seinfeld,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And it's classic. It was hilarious. A lot like Seinfeld kind of jokes, right? Just little things, nitpicky things.
Yeah, things that happen every day in life.
That just piss you off, right?
Yeah.
Like one he was talking about. I won't go right into it, but it is what it is. Saying it is what it is like. It's the worst, it's the most useless thing to say. Because it's like, well, of course it's what it is. And people say it because you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I believe it is what it isn't. Like he says that at one point. It's like, I don't know. He just works with shit like that. Everyday thing, like we were saying. And he was fantastic. My plan this year, in the next couple years, I've seen a lot of my favorite bands live. So now I want to see a lot of the comedians.
That's interesting, man. Because there is a lot of comedians now that their comedy is becoming huge.
Yeah, I saw Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw David Cross. Recently, and Ricky Gervais, I think, is going to be announcing North American tour soon.
Nice.
I'm seeing Sarah Silverman at the Casino-rama.
She's very funny.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
She's kind of hot too. A lot of people think that's weird, but I find Sarah Silverman hot.
Is it because of the humor or the way she looks? Or
it's both. It's her. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
She's like hot, but she's not like Barbie doll hot.
Yeah.
She's just like she's a hot woman, I think. And I think she's funny and rebellious and kind of cute that way. But she's a huge Bernie Sanders supporter too.
Yes.
So a lot of people aren't really feeling her because of that. She's promoting that more than... So it'll be interesting to see how that show goes. But anyway, Jerry Seinfeld, fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see him, go see him.
I saw you got some souvenirs, the black and white cookie.
Yeah.
And the Junior Mints.
And the Junior Mints. They were selling them at the... while we were getting drinks. They were selling them there, and I was like... And then I was a douchebag and took a picture of it with my ticket.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
Put it on Instagram.
You gotta show people where you are, man.
But right when we saw it, we're like, oh, Junior Mints, we gotta get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay, we are talking about the best debut albums of all time. And Connor and I both agreed that we think one of the best debut albums of all time is Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the best debuts in recent history. Appetite for Destruction came out when there was a whole bunch of, glam rock and metal and hairspray and everywhere. And Guns N' Roses came along and they brought that rock and roll and punk attitude and they just wiped everything off the floor and they became a huge rock and roll band. Probably the last great rock and roll band that was.
Yeah. My favorite song on the record, My Michelle.
Oh, great song.
Love that song.
Underrated song on that record.
Because
most people think of Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, which are great and all that.
Yeah, but they're radio played all the time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Chinese Democracy actually a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And how it was obviously not anywhere close to Appetite, but it did have some good songs on it.
Well, for people who don't know, Chinese Democracy is the last Guns N' Roses album that's been put out. And it was when all of Guns N' Roses wasn't really getting along with Axl Rose.
Yes.
So he was the only original member, and then he brought on a whole whack of different musicians throughout the record. So people were automatically pissed going, this shouldn't be called Guns N' Roses. And what did he spend 15 years on it and like $10 million or something?
Yes.
And it didn't do that well. It was during a time when CDs weren't selling that well anyway. So
but the Guns N' Roses tour, they're actually playing Chinese Democracy songs on their reunion tour,
which is cool.
Which I thought was interesting.
That's cool. Slash, because I know there were times when those guys, when you weren't even allowed to wear the other person's merchandise to each other's shows.
Yeah, there's a whole ego thing with Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Another great debut album. This one.
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
What a debut. Just hits you right in the face every time you listen to it, man.
Oh, yeah. Start to finish.
And to hear a band come out like that in the early 90s, grunge was at its height. This is so much different than grunge.
Yeah.
The music that was going on at the time.
Yeah. Metal with rap, but it's not like it doesn't feel like...
No, it doesn't feel like metal at all to me. It feels like the anger and the intensity of punk, but it's more funky and rocky.
Funk, metal,
Yeah, it ties in kind of the hip-hop vibe to it as well.
Of course.
And I don't think Rage, they put out some great records.
Yeah.
But they didn't top their debut ever.
No.
And they only put out 3 records, right? They weren't that long lasting, but their debut was definitely their best.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of those bands where people they ache for a new, Rage record.
Yes.
But then there's that piece of me that's like, do you want to fuck with that? Do you want to mess with that time?
Don't mess with the legacy, man.
Or maybe what if they did and it was actually amazing, right?
Yep. Just adjusting the video here, people, so you can see us a bit better. I know it's a bit dark, but I hope you can still hear us and see us a bit.
Yeah.
All right, so first two, we had Guns N' Roses, we had Rage Against the Machine. Next, Killers, Hot Fuss. That whole first side of that
I think
record,
it's Hot Fuzz.
It's Fuss.
Is it Hot Fuzz?
Yeah.
This whole time?
Yeah, you thought it was Fuzz?
Yeah.
No, it's Fuss. Hot Fuss.
Oh my god. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, man.
Holy shit. Okay, well, I learned something today.
Yeah.
One of my... Wow. Okay.
Hot Fuss. That whole first side of that record, gold.
Yeah.
Jenny was a friend of mine. Somebody told me.
Jenny was a friend of mine, might be my favorite Killer song.
I love Smile Like You Mean It.
Smile Like You Mean It. Great
I love
one.
the synth line in that.
Yeah. Shit.
All these things that I've done.
Of course, that's like their classic
Yeah,
huge song.
that was their...
Of course, Mr. Brightside
Oh,
and
yeah.
Somebody Told Me You
Yeah.
Had a Boyfriend. And look
That
what-
was like their first huge hit.
Yeah, people were like weirded out by it.
Yeah.
I remember when that hit like came out, people were like, "What the fuck's with the lyrics
Yeah.
to the chorus?" And they were like glammy.
Yeah.
And it really weirded people out. And
It reminded me of Billy Idol a lot.
there's that element, and they're like from Las Vegas, and they're very show tuney
Yes.
tunes. We've talked about them
Yeah.
prior to this.
We won't go too into Hot Fuss, but there's no denying that their later records just didn't match up.
No,
When You Were Young, I think that's one of their best songs, and that was on the later records.
that's
but-
on Sam's Town.
Town, yeah, but I just don't think they can follow up Hot Fuss because that was just a moment in time and a perfect record for that.
I am
time.
excited for a new record though.
Yes,
We've
we
talked
talked
about
about that a little
yeah.
bit. Metallica's Kill 'Em All, released in 1983, just created a whole new genre. Speed metal, thrash metal. But yeah, it just opened up the door, and when you listen to it today, it's so powerful and so abrasive, and that chugging, it just started that whole new wave.
Yeah,
And people don't give enough credit to James Hetfield as a vocalist. He sung extremely high back in the day.
yeah.
If you tried to sing his stuff from in the 80s, you wouldn't be able to do it.
No, probably not.
Just no regard for his voice at all, just screaming at the top of his
Oh,
lungs.
fuck.
Even when he listens to it, he can't believe he used to be able to do it.
Wow.
Lots of drugs and alcohol
Yes.
probably tie into that as well.
Yeah.
So we won't spend too much time on Metallica. I tend to talk about them a lot, but this guy,
Oh,
he's basically, you see him a bit these days, but he used to be mega popular. Mr. 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Do you guys remember that album? How huge it was?
That album was huge.
Into Club.
Indie Club popped out of nowhere, and from like 22-year-olds to like fucking
Yeah.
14-year-olds were blasting this song.
Didn't matter who you were.
Yeah,
Just took over the world, that song.
and that album kind of talks about him, how he got. Like, they did a whole
Yeah.
movie on like
How he was shot 9 times and he
Yeah.
didn't die. And
that was a big deal. 50 Cent was like
Yeah.
just skyrocketed then,
he was one of the biggest rappers in the world at that time.
and I don't think he lived up to that album ever again.
Definitely not. He put out some, The Massacre with like
Yeah.
just a little bit and Candy
He
Shop.
never lived up.
No, but like Get Rich had some great songs on it.
Totally.
Many Men.
Many men.
Yeah.
Um,
Wish Death on Me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a
So
great
good.
one. Wanksta.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Fuck.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up the track listing here because it was
Yeah, I'm
It
trying to
was-
remember, but I remember loving that album from start to finish.
me too. Like it
and
had.
thinking I was so gangster. Like
Oh yeah,
that
rocking,
was when we were wearing like
rocking the
fucking
FUBU, the
FUBU
Exco.
hat, the Exco, the Echo. If you wore the Exco, you were like dirty,
Yeah,
and if you wore the Echo, you were like more rich or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wore both.
Released in 2003, Eminem was all over it. Dr.
Oh
Dre.
yeah, that's when they were like
Yeah.
Eminem got 50 Cent going. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
PIMP. How could we forget that
Oh.
song, man?
Because I'm a motherfucking PIMP.
I don't know what you heard about
Great
me.
song.
21 Questions.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the late Nate Dogg. Ba-dam, ba-na-na-na-na.
Yeah,
That was a good song.
yeah,
Had some good beats on it.
yeah. It was good.
Yeah, but now, didn't 50 Cent buy vitamin water or something, and then he, disappeared?
He bought the vitamin water, and then I think he sold it again, but he went bankrupt. But I don't know how much of that. I don't know enough about that. He apparently lost a bunch of weight years ago, too, and did
Yeah.
some movie. He looked like he was dying, and I don't know what the movie was about, but it didn't even, go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, apparently he lost, if you see a picture of him, he looks like he's, dying.
Yeah.
Skinny, pale.
Yeah. So sticking with the hip hop and the rap,
Yeah.
NWA Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
That album, I think if we were around, we would have felt the full impact of it. But man,
Yeah.
that whole album is just such a vivid picture of what was going on in LA at that time.
What a rebellious album.
Oh man, they didn't care, man.
Yeah.
And that was the first album of its kind where it's just like, F you to authority, man.
Yeah. First, to become super successful too.
Yes.
Like the government and parents were like terrified
FBI
of anarchy.
Yeah.
FBI
got in on it.
They thought the next generation of teens and all this were gonna listen to this stuff and go fucking nuts and stop listening to authority. But all they were doing was they were just trying to, just like themselves, how the police want to get rid of the corrupt gangs. These gangs were talking about the corrupt police.
Exactly, man.
And so
they were telling the truth from their eyes.
Yeah.
And then people really connected with that, right?
Yeah.
Because they were seeing this. And, Straight Outta Compton was such a big record that you could never live up to its height. And, NWA didn't last long at all. Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, they went their separate ways.
Yeah.
Eazy-E. If you've seen Straight Outta Compton, there are some fictional parts, but it is a pretty accurate representation of what happened during that time.
And Ice Cube's son played...
Oh, he looks exactly like him.
I know. They did such a great
movie.
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, so NWA Straight Outta Compton, definitely one of the best debuts ever. We talked about it earlier, Lady Gaga.
The Fame.
The Fame. What a great album that was when it came on the scene. You couldn't escape it.
No.
The Paparazzi.
Great
song.
That's probably
man.
my favorite Lady Gaga song, Paparazzi.
I feel like it was more honest and, connected with me more than, Poker Face or something like
Poker
that.
Face was like a good hit.
It was.
To get her skyrocket. Yeah.
Just Dance.
Actually, Just Dance, I think, was first. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was all those songs whenever you go to a college house party, Lady Gaga, The Fame was always on. And
even now, if you go to a club or anything like that, when her songs kick in, they're fucking awesome.
They are.
They're great songs. And I give a lot of credit to her. Like, we were talking about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And, she didn't lip sync. A lot of artists you'd be surprised how many people, lip sync to these big events like this.
Yeah.
If you watch her performance, she was, jumping around all over the place. Yeah. She was getting a bit breathy and stuff. But I give her, as a performer...
People were quick to rip on her and stuff, on
body
image and saying she's not relevant anymore. She's one of the most relevant and interesting pop artists in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So don't say she's not relevant. Yeah. I think this year is going to be a big year for her. And seeing her up there with Metallica, rocking out, she's actually a fan.
Yeah.
Like back in the day when she used to live in New York, she would go to these metal clubs and listen to Metallica and rock out, man. She's not.
She knows her shit. Exactly. She doesn't just listen to pop music.
Exactly.
And her new album, Joanne, I think it's called.
Yeah, no one's listening to it.
But it's like an actual singer-songwriter album.
And that's why, because it's not as mainstream and not as hitty as her other stuff.
Yeah, and it's I listen to it from start to finish, and it's great.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
So moving on, another band we talked about today, Linkin Park.
Yeah.
2000, Hybrid Theory comes out. In the end, you cannot escape that song on the radio.
Yeah, you still can't.
You can't. No, it's on every alt radio station too.
Yeah, every station.
But oh man, I remember they just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, who's Linkin Park, man?
Yeah.
And they just kind of took over where, Deftones were huge in 2000. They released White Pony. And those two albums were just like landmarks.
But Linkin Park also had a bigger audience because it also connected with younger, I found the younger crowd enjoyed Linkin Park and knew them more than the Deftones.
Yeah, for sure. And
Deftones might go, White Pony might go down as a better record. I don't know.
Both of them are hallmarks
I like White
that
Pony
time.
more, but I'm not a huge, like we said before, I'm not a huge Linkin Park fan. But you grew up, love you and Kyle loved fucking Linkin
Kyle
Park.
most of the time he had Hybrid Theory in his Walkman, and then he had Korn, Untouchables.
Korn.
Which wasn't as good as a record. I listened to the first song on repeat because I just loved it. Here to Stay.
Yeah.
And he used to make fun of me. He's like, man, there's more songs on the album. I was like, no, I like this one. And then I could just never get into Korn. But back to Hybrid Theory.
Yes.
During the time, nu metal was king. Linkin Park, Deftones are all releasing these albums.
Yeah.
And Hybrid Theory was a more mature... Adults could listen to In the End.
Yeah.
Even though there was rapping and stuff, it was more, easily listenable than, say, Deftones or Slipknot or something.
Yes, of course, exactly.
So, and that album went diamond, which means like I think it's 10 million units
Wow.
sold. So it's one of the most popular selling CDs of the CD era.
And you
Hybrid
would say
Theory.
that's their best record?
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Meteora was good too.
Yeah.
But I felt it was kind of a leftover of Hybrid Theory.
Yeah.
But it was more mature in a way. But those two records, they're a period in time where it's like, okay, those are two good records. But I don't think it was as good as Hybrid Theory. Another band that hasn't come out with a record, this is their only record, Them Crooked Vultures.
Yeah.
I have to say, I didn't get into it until I fell in love with Queens.
See, same.
And then I was like, this is genius.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I notice before? When
Yeah.
it first came out, it was a bit eclectic. It was a bit, Queens weren't really doing anything, and I wasn't huge on them. I knew their hits.
Yeah.
But once I got deeper into Queens, especially into Like Clockwork, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And John Paul Jones on that record.
Yeah. John Paul
Oh,
Jones
like
of Led Zeppelin.
Led
bass
Zeppelin,
player.
yeah. And
So that was really odd too. When that was announced, Dave Grohl, Josh Homme,
Yep,
and
John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones all formed this super group, Them Crooked Vultures. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was the same. I knew Songs for the Deaf for years.
Yeah.
For years, and I never got into anything else Queens did. I just loved that album since like the beginning of high school, and I never went looking. And then finally, when Like Clockwork, just the same thing. I got into Like Clockwork, and then I started to go, wow, I should explore the rest of this band. And then Them Crooked Vultures was already out.
Yeah.
But New Fang I knew New Fang. That's a great
Song,
hit.
yeah.
Like, what a fucking,
Yeah, that was on the radio all the time.
yeah.
But that whole record as a whole, it just has this vibe, and it's very sexual.
Yeah.
Them Crooked Vultures.
Did you see them live?
I was supposed to. One of the worst and stupidest things I ever did. I was supposed to. Thought it was on a different date. Missed it.
Oh, my God.
I thought it was like one weekend, and
Which,
it was
like,
the weekend before.
This supergroup may never,
Yeah.
it may never happen
They
again. I
played-
assume it
yeah.
will eventually, but it's going to be rare every
Yeah,
time.
I bought tickets because it was hard to get tickets too,
Yeah.
because they were like a super group, and I was like, that was one of my biggest regrets.
Robbie and Chase, I just found out Robbie went and saw them.
Yeah.
But he did a whole year with him and Chase where they went and saw like every single band imaginable.
Yeah.
But they just partied the whole time. So he said he couldn't really
Remember.
remember it.
I was part of that. We saw Soundgarden when they were united.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
don't really remember, but that was one of my favorite concerts because
Yeah.
I just remember the whole thing. All right, moving on from Them Crooked Vultures. Boxcar Racer. 2002 record from Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker.
Yeah. So
Really, really mature outing compared to 2001
yep.
when they put out Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to Boxcar Racer a lot these past few months. I'm just out of nowhere, really, and I forgot how good and solid of a record it was, and a precursor to some of the stuff that would happen on Self-Titled and We Don't Need to Whisper.
Yeah. We're so used to an emotional Blink-182 now. But at the time, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ballads and emotional songs and stuff like that from all different side projects. But this was the first. Like you were saying, like, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was just, that album alone felt a bit forced. It was like, yes, keep writing songs about being teenagers. And Tom
Yeah.
DeLonge was like,
Very crisp production and
Yeah.
epicness, like stay together for the kids.
the record company was holding them, like, had them by the balls, basically. And so Tom DeLonge looked for an outing to write darker, serious songs. And he says the album's about the end of the world.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that.
No,
It
but
feels like a very happy, hopeful album.
what, Boxcar?
I feel like that.
Do you?
Yes.
See, I think it's a very dark,
Oh, wow.
kind of gothy album for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it always uplifts me when I listen to it.
Like Letters to God. Like, it's still uplifting.
Yeah.
But it's extremely dark.
If you go into the lyrical
yeah,
content,
the lyric.
yes.
And Tim Armstrong, who's in Rancid, he does a song,
Cat Like Thief.
Cat Like Thief. And I remember as a kid not understanding his voice and being like,
yeah.
who the fuck is this?
I felt the same when in 2003 when Robert Smith, he's on All This. And
Yeah.
I'm like, is this Mark? Is this Tom? What's going on?
Yeah.
But I love him in that song now.
And I love Tim Armstrong in that song. It's
Yeah.
a nice, it's a fresh,
yeah, a fresh take.
yeah. So, but this was the album Boxcar that basically caused bullshit in Blink-182.
Yeah. It was
Because
the beginning
Mark-
of the end, so to
Mark
speak.
was the only member left out of the project. So I understand where he's coming from, but I think what Tom says is, you know, he was writing all these songs that weren't associated with Blink, and he's like, why wouldn't I just get Travis to do the drums? He's the best drummer I fucking know.
Yeah, really.
So it wasn't anything personal about starting a project without Mark. But Mark took it that way, and that's where drama started. But we don't need to kick right into that. But it's a great out for a Tom DeLonge record. It's fans say it's like his top 3 best records out of all the projects he's done. So it's definitely a must.
Yeah. Sticking with Tom DeLonge, We Don't Need to Whisper, the first Angels and Airwaves
Yeah.
record. Do you think that's their best record?
I'm not a great opinion because
You're a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan of Tom DeLonge's work, and I like.
Honestly, I couldn't name you a song after
We Don't Need to Whisper. And that's normal. Like, usually the first 2 records are the only ones people know. We Don't Need to Whisper and I Empire.
Yeah.
And then they became more independent and started releasing albums for free, doing whatever he wanted, which is what the whole purpose of what he wanted to do in his next project, even with Blink, was to go, let's get more away from the record companies and do what the fuck we want. Yeah. Let's do small short films. Let's do feature films maybe. And now he's doing more of that. But We Don't Need to Whisper is a great beginning to Tom trying to go elsewhere. Yeah. But it's funny because Tom got addicted to painkillers because his back was all fucked up. And some of his best work, he was on
drugs.
We talked about it, Boxcar Racer. He was hooked on painkillers because of back problems. That's why he went from like a low Fender guitar to the Gibson up high, because they told him he couldn't do that anymore. Like Billy Joe does that. He never had a problem, I guess. So he's on painkillers, and then he just stayed on the painkillers. He got addicted. And he put out Boxcar Racer. He put out Self-Titled. And he put out We Don't Need to Whisper high on painkillers. So there's an example of a fucking artist who puts out some of his best music totally stoned. Don't do painkillers, but still it happened. Yes. So We Don't Need to Whisper, he was insane. Like, he was completely, in interviews, he was totally fucked up, like saying like, Jesus came to me in dreams and helped me write this music.
That. Yeah.
But he was also joking too, but people thought that he was going serious. And anyways, it is known as the best Angels and Airwaves record, and it is the
most well known.
The most well known. So.
All right, so another record. I have never listened to this record. Why don't you tell us about it, man?
Alan Parsons Project.
Yes.
So Alan Parsons Project is a band from like the 80s, and
progressive rock band.
Progressive rock, very experimental. I'm not a fan of basically all their work except for this record. My buddy Ian showed it to me. It's called Tales of Mystery and Imagination. And it's a fantastic record. A lot of the songs are based around Edgar Allan Poe's poetry.
Okay.
So it's got like songs about the Raven and all that, and it's just such a great album. And Alan Parsons, he produced Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, arguably the greatest album ever.
Yeah, and I feel like this album, if you're a big fan of psychedelic rock or Pink Floyd or any of the classic, it feels like a classic rock album. Very out there, though. It's a lot of spoken word, goes into like jazzy music. It's very dark, and I would definitely suggest it because iRobot's their second record, and it's the most well-known.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've heard the term iRobot. It's been in whatever. This is a seriously underrated album, so I would say check it out.
All right, another band, Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Deloused in the Comatorium. So when this came out, it blew everyone away. That was like the band. Like, you got to check out Mars Volta.
And they were at the Drive-In.
Yeah.
Prior to that.
Yeah.
That was the band prior to, which was a lot more garagey.
Yeah, and then Rick Rubin heard Mars Volta and the music they were making, called up Flea and John from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they all started doing stuff together.
Yeah.
And they made a bunch of music during that time. But their first album was Deloused in the Comatorium, however you pronounce it. And that is just, I want to say it's an eccentric record. It's all over the place, man.
It's insane.
It is. It's like unlike anything you will ever hear or have ever heard since.
Yeah, people sound like Mars Volta, but that album, the moment I heard it, I was like, the intro song kicking right into the big, like, what a fucking masterpiece.
Oh, I know, man.
From start to finish.
It reminded me of Led Zeppelin. You got a phone call. But it reminded me of Led Zeppelin like 10,000 times amplified. So those are some of the few records that we thought were the best of these bands.
We did say, it's not like, in some of these bands, they're not like our favorites.
Yeah.
But like we brought up Billy Talent. And that's also because of the time period. Like us growing up in high school, the first Billy Talent album. I think that album is fucking unreal, and I don't think they'll ever do an album like that again.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they wrote that album that was since they were a band. You know, a lot of times when a band first comes together for their first album, that power and that angst is there.
Yeah.
Because they've wanted it for so long. Right?
Yeah, it's almost like that album's a bit of a diary.
Yeah.
And mainly, it's like emo. It's classified as emo. A lot of it is about like the unpopular kid, or like
Oh yeah.
the guy
Being
next
bullied.
River Below is like about a guy wanting to blow up the world who
Yeah.
never had a great life and seemed bullied.
Nothing to lose, obviously.
Bullying.
Teen suicide and stuff.
Yeah. So, and the X is about like a girl breaking
Yeah.
some loser's heart or whatever, right? So, but it was a great album from start to finish.
Alrighty, that's all the time we have for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. This
Yeah.
is a new format we're trying out. We're going to see how it looks after. We're going to maybe post it. If it's not so good, maybe not. But we're working with things here, and there will be an audio podcast up later in the week, so stay tuned for that.
Give us, some tips about like how we're doing. Are we dressed right? Should we wear less clothing? Should we wear more clothing?
Should we make this a gangbang type thing? Invite people over?
Like, not sexual, just like we'll gang bang it out the whole podcast. Like we'll get shit done. Not
Yeah. Not sexual.
unless it may turn into that. I mean, right? You never know.
Anything goes on the New Noise, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for the audio podcast later in the week. Bye,
See ya.
guys.